Hi, I'm Andrew Spieler.
And I'm Mary Hope Rennie.
And you're watching or listening to Behind the Sign, Real Stories from Real Estate. Welcome back to Behind the Sign, episode number 25. That's a pretty big milestone, right?
Yeah.
25?
25 episodes weekly.
Yeah.
Pretty neat.
That's awesome. So to celebrate, we brought in a special guest today, Mary Hope. Would you like to introduce our special guest?
Absolutely. She didn't even know she was going to be on the 25th episode. We're surprising her too.
Where's the cake?
That's right. Should we get a cake? So this is Katie Oddy. She is an agent in our office at Keller Williams Metropolitan. And she has, from my perspective, worked really hard to be where she's at. And that's kind of what I see in Katie. Just a very hard-working agent and very focused agent. And so I just wanted to kind of bring you on to kind of tell your story, because in our podcast, Behind the Sign, we want to really take apart what it involves, what is involved in becoming an agent and sticking with it. It's a lot of excitement at the beginning, and you think you can do amazing things, and then the hard comes. And what it takes. And that's kind of why we're bringing agents, because demystifying the facades. So welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for being here.
So tell us, kind of go back to why you even got your license and what got you even to think about it, and all of that.
So I was a COVID agent.
Congratulations.
I was working in graphic design. That's what I have my degree in. And when we were faced with the pandemic, I was experiencing layoffs every other week at the company that I was at. And so there was a lot of uncertainty around what was next
Absolutely.
and the health of the business that I was working with. I found myself with a lot of free time on my hands during those times when I was alternating layoffs, because I had a counterpart who shared a similar role as I did. And so in order to offset the
They swap.
salaries, they would swap us back and forth.
Oh, that's not settling.
So yeah, it was nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
And so I started thinking about, like, what's my exit strategy, or what's next, or can I even see myself here 5 years from now?
Yeah.
Right.
And when I was faced with that question, the answer was already no, regardless of the circumstances of the pandemic. So then it was time to explore what was next. And so I knew I wanted to tap into my creative outlet with my graphic design background. But I didn't know how to do that in a different way. And so Tony, my other half, he said, well, why don't you do interior design? And I was like, ugh, I don't know. I was like, sounds like a good idea, but like,
Still
I
has
like
design in the title.
do that for myself at my own home, just because I purely like enjoy that.
Right.
And I had a very close friend of mine who was my realtor in some previous homes that I had bought and sold. Her name's Kaylin Gallo. She used to actually be an agent here. And I was like, I want to do what she's doing. And so we had a conversation, and things kind of rolled from there.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's, you know what? That's interesting. You said, do I want to be here in 5 years? We're 5 years.
Yep.
You're not there.
Yep. Not there.
Yeah. That's right. Hard left.
So you didn't, it's so interesting. So many agents say, I've always wanted to be in real estate. That was not your thought process.
I think I had always had an interest in it,
Yeah.
but I kind of was always thinking, like, oh, there's way too much contracts and language, and like, I'm not smart enough, or I'm not able, like, I don't have any experience with that
Right.
sort of thing. I was like, I'm not a salesperson. I don't know how that's going to fit in. And so
Right.
it just
wasn't.
really like, they weren't skills that I thought I had embodied. And yet I still wanted to give it a go.
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty neat. And I think COVID oddly gave a lot of people opportunities or ways of thinking about things that they probably wouldn't have done on their own unless they were given an opportunity like that,
Mhm.
which I think that just is kind of a neat and something that I think we're going to look back in history and say, I wonder how many people's businesses and lives just took a turn
Mhm.
that was for the good, but that might have been there, but not quite there.
Yeah.
So you got your license.
Mhm.
Was it everything it was cracked up to be and so much more and amazing?
Um, I mean, I wouldn't say it was exactly what I expected. It was like it wasn't different than I
Yeah.
expected either, but
Mhm.
I just didn't really know what it was going to look like on the day to day. And so when before I got my license, I was already speaking to a team
Yeah.
here at KW Metro, and just kind of figuring out if that was where I would want to land. And I did.
Yeah.
And so I think being there, I learned a lot about systems and
Mm.
processes and just being regimented and consistency. And I think that's what really laid a solid foundation for
Mhm.
what was to come next.
Mhm.
Well, and that's interesting that so many agents lack that at the beginning and feel like, well, once I'm busy, I can lay those foundations. And I think probably a gift to you that you had that at the beginning, especially since you said, I don't know contracts. I don't know. And that's been given to you kind of
Hmm.
in it. Who was your first client?
My first client was a referral from a friend of mine, and he was a buyer who was a police officer locally, and he was buying his first home. And that was pretty cool to have
Yeah.
that sort of impact on somebody that has such a strong and, you know, solid impact on our local community. So it was really cool to have him as the first buyer.
You always remember your first buyer.
Always remember your first.
Probably first listing as well.
Yeah.
So what do you think at the beginning allowed you to be consistently successful? That's what I see in you, that you're willing to do the work. I don't see as much of this.
Mhm.
A lot of agents have that. What do you think allowed you to have that consistent success?
Um, I mean, just kind of lightheartedly, I quit my job and did real estate full time.
There you go.
So I had
That's
no
not like, yeah.
I had no other
Yeah.
option.
Yeah.
And
Sink or swim.
at the time, Tony had just sold his business.
Oh, good.
So we had no income.
That
So
will do it.
so it was that, or, I'm a almost 40-year-old woman calling up my parents looking for money. So, and that didn't really seem like something I wanted to do.
Yep.
So
Yep. Fair.
I think part of that, but then also, I just kind of how I tend to work anyway is to be very regimented, to be
Mhm.
very scheduled, and I like sort of that same
Yeah.
thing mixed in with
Yep.
a little bit of different too. But I think that just kind of spoke to me, and it was easy for me to just create that
Mhm.
sort of schedule and follow it
And
and
consistency.
um, build from there.
Yep. Yep. So, gosh, has it been about a year since you went out on your own?
End of July.
Okay, so
So we're in mid-June.
Right.
much of your time has been with the team,
Mhm.
and you've learned all those team dynamics and the structures, and then you decided, you know what, it's time for me to be on my own.
Yeah.
How did that go? How like was it exciting? Was it scary? Was it?
Um, yeah, I mean, it was both. It's all of those things. It was exciting. It was scary. It was, I mean, it's nerve-wracking too, because these are, the team really kind of helped me get my start.
Right.
And, I really leaned into that, and um, was just super grateful for my time with the team and everything that I learned there. But I kind of just knew, like,
Hmm.
I've done this before where I've gone off on my own and not looked back, and it's always turned out okay when it comes to my career. I was a graphic designer. And even when I left graphic design to do real estate prior to that, I had done freelance
Got it.
and had just a series of other jobs that I would just be like, okay, I'm ready for the next thing.
Mhm.
I don't know how it's going to work out, but I'm just going to
Yeah.
kind of surrender all of that and have faith that it's going to work out.
Have the confidence in yourself as a freelancer, right? To be able to do it sort of independently on your own.
Yeah.
Well, I think, and that's so interesting because I think so many times we think it's a fresh slate when you get into real estate, but you're taking everything you have done in the past. And I think so many times we have to be really honest about who we are, who we have been, the training and our experience. And so that you were able to lean on that, be okay, like, okay, I'm going to do it. So
Was there anything specifically, Katie, that like from your previous careers sort of carried over or you took and kind of implemented into your real estate career once you kind of landed in it?
I think just having that graphic design background
Yeah.
really helped support a lot of the stuff happening with social media and marketing and doing signage and that sort of thing. So I had that part down. That part was really
Just rare.
easy.
Most agents don't
Yeah.
have that, which is
Yeah.
a huge learning curve, right?
Yeah. So having that component taken care of was really nice. And I felt really good because I knew I could present myself in a way that was authentic to me. Um, and then, I owe a lot to like my parents who also have a really strong work ethic and, have a lot of integrity around how they do business. And so I think that was just kind of instilled in me at an early age. And
Just,
it just carries on.
yeah.
This
Family
new-
osmosis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think, and I love your story, especially because I feel like so many people feel like I'm not naturally an agent.
Mhm.
I don't think anybody is. That's the
I don't,
reality.
that's what I think we're peeling that out. There's different personalities but you have strengths in the organization, regimen, consistency that so many agents don't have.
Mhm.
You have the marketing. It also helps that your wonderful partner has a social media background and but that's the beauty of having your own business, that you can take what your gifts and talents are and make it into something
Yeah.
that's like you said, authentic. And you're not trying to be reinventing who Katie is,
Hmm.
you know.
Yeah, and I think I was just telling the story to somebody else the other day. There are parts of real estate from television that I thought was going to be a little more adversary or
The drama.
dramatic, and there was going to be, cutthroat negotiations, and I tried to do that thinking like, okay, I'm just going to mirror this.
Yeah.
And I really got put in my place very quickly and learned how I didn't want to be doing my business because it didn't feel good.
Right.
Yeah.
And so my approach really, I think, from that day forward, and it's evolved, and
Mhm.
I keep improving on it, but is really try to be partners with my co-brokes and the other real estate adjacent um, people involved in a
Oh, yeah.
transaction or
Yeah.
sale.
Yeah.
Going right along with that, because I think that is another thing that I think you see the benefit and beauty of collaborating together.
Mhm.
The creative art form.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, I think that is
Mm.
part of that creative part of you, that you see that you have actually helped start a collab, a Concord collab. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so in Concord, Shannon Mounsey, she's an agent with Real 603. She and I are friends, and we decided to start up this sort of mindshare meetup once a month in Concord for agents across all brokerages. And the intention is really just to create a like safe and welcoming and inclusive agent environment where we're talking about different topics happening in
Right.
real estate, different things, different strategies, or shining a light on different topics having to do with our businesses. And we've really tried to keep it protected to just real estate agents
Yeah.
instead of other businesses, because I think it allows agents to have a moment to be vulnerable with
Mm-hmm.
Not
other
worried about
agents.
networking per se.
Yeah, it's not about networking and getting more business. It's really just about giving people a space to feel comfortable and share struggles or challenges or successes and that sort of thing. So that's been really cool. We launched that in January 2025, and we do it once a month. It's the third Thursday of every month. And this month we're actually, so we got the idea from Dan and Drew Childs at
Right.
EXP, and we're doing a co-branded event
Oh,
this month
it's
with Dan
co-brand.
and Drew
Cool.
to bring our collab together with AHA,
Mhm.
which is basically their group, which is
Yeah.
very similar. And we're bringing in Sean LeBlanc, who is Aaliyah LeBlanc's husband from the title team,
Yeah.
to talk about investment properties.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, and I think kind of what you were saying is I thought this was going to be more of an antagonistic approach to real estate. And I feel like this and building these types of experiences and relationships is going to be so pivotal in a shifting market.
Mm-hmm.
People can be really nice to each other when there is not competition and there is a lack of things.
Mm-hmm.
As we get kind of in a little bit of a tougher, kind of more skill-based environment and all of that, I think these relationships, when you're negotiating, when you're really having to do hard negotiation without being antagonistic, you need to have relationships with people.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be really neat.
Mm-hmm.
To
Well, it's just great to have an outlet, I think, for, I mean, whether you're a real estate agent or you're in any industry, just a group of people where you can kind of come together and be like, boy, it's really tough right now because of X, or wow, I'm
Yeah.
really looking forward to this outcome. You know, it's just to have a sounding board
Mm-hmm.
and a dialogue with people
right.
when you're not working in the business, you know, is just, I mean, there's also the New Hampshire Young Housing Professional Associate Group, same kind of thing. I go to that every once in a while, and it's just like, just to be able to like sit down and talk
Right.
and
Right.
hear, you know, agents, what they're dealing with, or solutions they've come up with to other problems and things. Like, it's so nice to have a sounding space like that. So that's awesome that you
And
said.
Yeah.
having those relationships and building those relationships is so important in the business.
Mhm.
Being in it 16 years, the more relationships and the trust that you're building with agents, both by doing transactions, you can see you easily know an agent through going
Mhm.
through one deal, especially if it's difficult. But having these friendships and relationships outside of a transaction is so important, because then when you do come together, you are collaborating as opposed to I'm here, you're here, let's try to.
Mm.
We just had 2 weeks ago we had an appraiser on, and saying there's that dichotomy and that kind of tension between the two. But the same thing, if you know and respect each other and you know that you're all part of making something go from A to B,
Yeah.
it makes a difference.
Mm-hmm. And I've learned so much from those agents
Right.
that are at other brokerages.
Yes.
Because they have a different perspective, and there might be a different conversation happening
Absolutely.
within their group that's
Yeah.
not happening here.
Yes.
And it shines a new light onto other experiences that I'm having, and
Absolutely.
causing me to take pause and think, okay, there is another way to do this, or there's
Yep.
another way to respond, or um have a
In everything.
conversation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So where do you see yourself in 5 years? There you go. I'm going to just throw that one on you.
I'm really actually not sure. I mean,
Mhm.
right now I'm still such a new solo agent that I'm really enjoying what that looks like.
Good. Yep.
And building my business and trying some new things out and
Mhm.
dipping my toes in some other waters within real estate that are maybe a little less traditional in terms of just, families buying and selling and moving up and
Yeah.
that sort of thing. But I am working on a few things right now to sell some digital products and maybe do some mastermind classes
Yeah.
through my social media platform.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see it, and that's where, again, I think having your real estate license allows you opportunities for all the other things,
Mhm.
right? I was just speaking to a guy that runs a construction company with his family, and he has his license, and sometimes he's doing a lot with it, and sometimes not, but it gives you that avenue to take something, because the real estate world is so big right now,
Mhm.
and giving you opportunities with your license to do what you love. And that's where it sounds like you're kind of taking it, you're servicing, and you're taking care of your clients with a lot of systems and a lot, and figuring that out. But at the same time, saying, okay, now what can I add
Mhm.
to this world? You know,
Yeah, I I mean, I think it's cool to be able to also not just, like, serve the general public doing the real estate, everyday,
right.
day-to-day work, but, um, I think there's a huge opportunity to help other agents
Mhm.
be successful in their business, and I think
Mhm.
that's where that idea is coming from for these, products that I'm working on,
Yeah.
and Mindshare,
Well,
so.
because I think, like you said, right, you watch the TV shows and it's so adversarial, right? And there's so much conflict to create drama, to create the show.
Mhm.
And then you get into it and you realize like that does nothing to help propel your career. It actually can end it very quickly
Mhm.
versus opening up and having this collective, collaborative, education based environment where you're sharing ideas that you have with other agents, especially in a space where you don't feel like I'm going to give my secret sauce away to somebody. They're going to take it and
Right.
steal it, right? This sort of like, paranoia that exists. And I feel like that is a palpable thing that does exist out in the real estate world in general.
Mhm.
And the more you can squash that and the more you can tell people like, no, like I'm not going to steal your client. I'm not going to take your listing, but I'd love to have a dialogue with you about, you know, maybe some of the things that you could do next time so that it doesn't go the way it did last time. Right.
Yeah.
And I could learn from it by not having to step in it, but learn about it through you. Right.
Mhm.
And that's, I think there's nothing but serious need for that, especially for the agents 5 years and under,
Yeah.
in the industry. So,
Yeah, and there's room for everybody.
yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I feel like we're now just scratching the surface of what opportunities there are in real estate. And I think
Mhm.
people are branching out and seeing the opportunities out there. Um, my goodness, we are almost at the end of our time already. That was quick.
Well, we've got our special question.
Well, that's what I was.
Okay.
Go for it.
All right. So, what would be the one bit of advice you would give to somebody just getting into real estate? If you were to think back and think like, okay, this is a good move I made, or this is a move I shouldn't have made, and therefore you want to sort of educate others to make sure they don't make the same mistakes, what would that be?
Um, I don't know that there's necessarily one thing, but the one thing that comes to mind with that question is, um, I think if you're focused on the people and the things that you're saying and your actions are all coming from a place of service,
Yeah.
Mhm.
it will come back to you.
Yeah.
And I think in a lot of businesses and especially in real estate, there is a lot of ego and there's a
Yep.
lot of fear and that sort of thing. And I think if you can put that aside and surrender that and really just focus on like offering a great service and really trying to make an impact
Mhm.
on people and the community, um, I think that's gonna take you far and you're gonna feel good doing it.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I love that, because in just going back to your first deal that you said, that
Mhm.
you're able to help that police officer. And when you said that and explained it, your whole face lit up. So, I could tell that was such a genuine, if you are, like you said, if I'm coming from a place of service and helping others, the kind of the other stuff falls into place,
Yeah.
with support and doing the right things. But if you're not coming, it's kind of that one thing. If you have it, everything else can. If you don't, nothing you do, it'll last for a little bit, but it's
Mhm.
gonna fall apart, because we are an industry of service,
Mhm.
and it can be very easy to lose sight of that amidst it. So,
Yeah.
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 Awesome.
Well, thank you so much. I'm so excited that we're able to kind of put your story out there too. And would you mind coming again sometime?
Of course.
Yeah.
Good.
And what was the name of the collab, just for folks who are
It's called Concord Collab.
Concord Collab?
And our primary focus is on the Concord area.
Yeah.
We noticed there was a lack in Concord, but agents from Manchester, Nashua,
Yeah.
Portsmouth, Lakes region have all attended, and we welcome them to come.
Okay.
And then Dan and Drew Childs at EXP, they have AHA, which is an acronym for Agents Helping Agents.
Yeah.
And they do a monthly
Yeah.
event in Manchester.
Right.
And so, I know we have a lot of people in Southern New Hampshire. That might be a great event to go to as well.
Great. Awesome.
Great.
Cool.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah. Thanks, Katie.
And thanks and congratulations for being here on our 25th episode.
Thank you.
That's right.
That's-
So stay tuned. We'll see you for number 26 about PFAS, which is going to be interesting.
I'm very
So
excited.
Definitely tune in next week for PFAS. It's an important topic to educate the public about. So,
And I have no clue what it is.
oh,
There
good.
you go.
Oh, good.
I will.
That's right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of Behind the Sign, Real Stories from Real Estate.
We hope you enjoyed today's conversation and gained a little insight into the world behind those for sale signs.
Today's episode was brought to you by Keller Williams Realty Metropolitan, proudly serving New Hampshire, Vermont, Maine, and Massachusetts. A special thank you to our agents, leadership, and partners at KW Metro for their continued support.
And thanks to you, our amazing listeners and viewers. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss an episode.
Leave us a review or comment. We love hearing your feedback, and it helps more people discover the show.
And if you have a real estate story you'd like to share or a question you want answered on a future episode, reach out to us at metro.kw.com or find us on Instagram, handle at KWMetroNH.
Until next time, we'll see you
Behind the sign.